What's up, everybody?
Welcome back,
Welcome
folks.
back to This Week in WordPress and Tech with WP-Tonic. Today, we've got a bunch of stories and we've got a nice even panel. I love when there's 6 people. It just lines up so perfectly in the grid. And we are going to... This is episode... Oh, I forgot already, Jonathan. What number did you say this was?
Oh, Steph, you were doing so well,
I'm going to be fired.
You know, it's 690, Stephanie.
690. Would you guys like to meet your panel today? How about it? John Locke, tell the people who you are.
John Locke from Lockdown SEO.
And Heather.
I am Heather Wild-Renzi from The Different Consulting.
Vito.
I'm Vito from Adarim.io. We help web agencies and freelancers collaborate with their clients seamlessly.
Spence.
Spence from WP-Launchify.com.
Spence, being a trooper, showing up with the Rona. Taking one for the team. Okay. And our fearless leader.
I've been out.
Yeah,
JD.
And he's got a live show after this with me, Stephanie.
my
He's gonna have to
goodness.
put up with me for an hour.
Bless it.
He literally had a brain. His brain exploded last year.
I just want to say, as a not anything to do with the commentary. Like, I live my life. I left the house. I was waxed and vaxxed and ready to roll, and
Whoa,
I did.
I'm sorry. Waxed?
It's a joke. Triple vax, waxed, and ready to party. And I partied. And now it's just slowing me down for a couple of days. But that's the point. The point is, like, I'm not in a hospital. I got a cold for a couple of days. It's all good.
Yeah, that's great.
Jonathan, are you going to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm thank you. I'm the founder of WP-Tonic. Even that I can't even remember, Stephanie. It's pathetic, isn't it? Back over to you.
I am Stephanie Hudson. I will be your loyal cat wrangler for today, getting us through these topics. I'm here repping Focus WP, where we help agencies to scale and grow by providing white label outsourced services. Check us out, focuswp.co. And with that, let's hear from our amazing sponsor today. And we're back. Don't forget to go check out wp-tonic.com/recommendations for more deals from our sponsor and other recommendations from the panel. Okay, shall we dive in? First up today is on The Tavern, WP-Tavern.com. An article by Justin Tadlock. Gutenberg Hub launches an online page builder app using WordPress patterns. Who has some thoughts on this? I've played with this a little bit. It's pretty cool. Spencer, do you have something to say?
I always love Justin's comments. He turned 38, by the way, recently, which kind of freaked me out because I could have sworn he was at least in the 40s, but he's 38. I was like, my God, was he 12 when he first started doing this stuff? Because I remember him being really influential on me 16 years ago. Nevertheless, I like the fact, first of all, I have a good relationship with Munir, and the Gutenberg Hub is a great thing. Munir and I have talked about who's going to help WordPress avoid going down a bad path. And the bad path is this full site editing thing. Is there an echo problem with my mic?
Yeah, it does seem
Somebody's echoing.
Somebody's got echo. Yeah.
I'm
I
only
got
on
my
one channel.
headphones
Let me know if it's my mic. So, all right. Anyway, so the point I want to make is that Munir and I have talked. He's very influential in his circles, and he worked with Extendify and a couple other clients. I am a huge proponent of patterns being thought of as the new full site editing template metaphor, not full site editing, because full site editing is right now being sort of tweaked around at the same time that these independent companies who are using traditional themes are already solving the problem. So you can look at Astra or Cadence or Generate Press or any of the other brands. They've all got a mix of the traditional theme as the underlying structure with specialty blocks and then patterns. And it works. as soon as you go off the ranch into full site editing, everything gets all convoluted. And then when you try to take people from the Elementor and Divi worlds, and there's different words for the same thing, like a section is a row, is a container. It's like, people, it's the Tower of Babel. So I asked him if he wanted to work with me, and otherwise I'm going to spend a lot of time this year doing this to try to get everybody at least on the same page from the community side of things, because I think that we can all agree amongst ourselves. And I also want to say it's not a political thing, but like, honestly, what's the difference between us organizing ourselves or us being organized because you contribute over at wordpress.org in some capacity? Isn't it really the same thing anyway? We're all just getting our shit together, because it's not good enough to just say, yeah, it's a family barbecue and half the internet's going to show up now. That's not a way to run a thing. Vito probably knows, because he's running, he just got the Outer Rim Agency Summit and stuff. It's like, we got to organize ourselves, and patterns on regular themes is the way to go, not full site editing. Done.
Oh, you're silent, Stephanie. You've muted yourself.
Rookie move. That's why I never mute myself, because I never remember to unmute myself. So just to clarify what this is a tool that is very much in the concept mode still, but it's fun to play with. You can go and you can add patterns that come from the repository, and you can do copy code and dump it straight into your site, where you can then style it. So you can't modify the styles of the patterns in this tool, but I think there's a lot of stuff to come in the future with this thing and this type of thing. So anybody else have anything? Vito, it looks like you might be nodding your head there.
I like the concept. I agree with you, Spencer, that anything that contributes to the community is good. It doesn't have to be organized from the top down. It can be organized from down up, right? So this, I think, is one of those initiatives of creating some kind of a directory of a bunch of patterns. Like, personally, I enjoy the design part of creation, so I am not the one to use any patterns or anything like this. I like the blank sheet and get started from there. That's, in my mind, that's the funnest part of the gig, right? But I can definitely see the use case. There's been a lot of things like that happening back in the themes days, with theme directories. There's loads of websites, and I remember when I first started scouring through like 700 free themes to find the one that you will kind of use. And so I think that's a nice initiative. I think there's going to be a few more popping up in the same way. But I do remember, or correct me if I'm wrong, that there was a discussion about creating something similar inside the interface, inside WordPress. Like they called it the block directory or something like this. Is this still happening? What's going on with that?
No, because what happened was first of all, just on the list of all the other whatever, but they've given it up pretty much to the independent companies. And even the pattern directory, it's a little bit of a hot mess, because as we talked about maybe 3-4 shows ago, you can't think of a block or a pattern without considering the underlying overarching style sheet of the theme you're using, because it looks cool in the neutral world of the pattern directory, and then you go put it on your whatever, and it becomes a disaster pants. And I think that's the bigger problem, where, again, I'm also trying to debate with people about, can't we just have a canvas theme that works on everything? So you start with a standardized, like everything will look the same, but it's like herding cats.
Interestingly, in my experience, listening to you talk and then Vito talk, I was thinking about me when I used to go search for themes, and it would drive me nuts because each theme was built in such a different way that it was such a learning curve to get each site built if I was just doing it that way, that I went on a search for some place that had a selection, but that was all sort of constructed with a similar undercarriage. And that's how I ended up. Yeah, that's how I ended up with Elegant Themes pre-Divi.
Yeah.
But
right.
like the concept still, because they had like 20 themes or 30 themes or something like that. You could find something that you could modify, and they were built the same way. And then Divi came along and that changed everything. But that speaks to what you're saying too, Spencer. Like, we've got to have like standardization of some of these elements, or it just becomes
Do you
complicated
remember
for
the
no reason.
demo pack? So like if you went to Envato's theme forest even today, the biggest, it's not a bait and switch because they offer them now, but the biggest bait and switch in the early days was you go there, see this beautiful demo, then you install the theme and it looks like somebody took a magic marker and drew the thing. And you're like, what's the difference? Well, somebody spent like 800 hours curating all the little nuances into a demo. So my suggestion these days is that we have this opportunity with starter templates and everything else. If we all had just like we're building on a common thing, you can give them now with one click the entire site that looks exactly, but now you can WYSIWYG edit the content, like this close. But we keep getting distracted by private interests and the lack of top-down like organization of this. So
yeah, can I say something, Stephanie?
Of course.
Yeah, Spencer, can you get your notepad and pen because you need to write this down? I actually totally agree with you, Spencer.
What?
Where's your sound
Lock it.
machine? You need a
Lock
sound
it.
effect.
I bet you never thought you'd hear that one, Spencer. I actually
Wait, there's a pig that just flew over.
I know. I'll be nice to him because he's not well and he's been a trooper. But no, I actually, this is the thing, Stephanie. You can see all the possibility there, can't you, Stephanie? You can through this, you can see, but then you got this full site editing gig that this thing they've gone on, this bender. It's like seeing somebody that's got great opportunity and they're on a drug every week they go on a drug bender. You see all the opportunity, but then full site, God knows what a normal person, what the hell are they how are they supposed to navigate all this, Stephanie? All these, it was confusing before all this, and it's just got more and more bloody confusing.
Well, we had that article a couple weeks ago too, but was talking about who are they going for at this point? Like WordPress.com, WordPress.org. Like, are they going for the end users? Are they trying to become Wix? Or are they trying to like simplify it to that extent? Or are they trying to build things for developers? Because like it's sort of tweenerish and it's not really working for either camp, truthfully. Heather, what do you think about all this?
I think that, I mean, I honestly don't know if I would ever use it, and I don't know who is going to. So I mean, it's another one of those things that for the casual WordPress user, like the casual user is just going to download a theme and isn't going to use this. So like it's another one of those things that's being introduced that I can't find a use case for.
Fair enough. Shall we move on to our next story and talk about one of our buddies that seems to surface just about every week on this show? We are moving on to TheVerge.com. The article is Elon Musk suggests charging governments and corporations a slight cost to use Twitter. You never know what a slight cost might mean when a billionaire is saying that phrase. But anyway, what do you guys, what do you think about this? I thought this article was interesting in that he broke down the, James Vincent is the author here. He broke down some of the like pros and cons, like what could go wrong with doing a thing like that if he's, the slippery slope that could be basically. John, what do you think? I know you love Elon.
Did you hear like he tried to get that pop singer that's half his age to go on a date with him, and she's like, "Nah, I'm not interested." I mean, money can't buy popularity. I saw somebody talking about this the other day. The other idea that he had last week of charging people to embed tweets. Right. And somebody said, yeah, this is something that this would be like the stuff that you're throwing against the wall in the very first hour of coming up with ideas to monetize. like this hasn't been thought of before. Because restricting the popularity of the platform, restricting the reach of the platform is not going to help it grow. Now, Twitter is never going to be as big as Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. It's a fraction of all of those. But where it holds a place in society, its importance is it allows people who have notoriety, like politicians or celebrities, to drive the narrative. And it also allows people from different communities to form dialogue amongst each other. And that's, I think, where a lot of the valuable the value from Twitter is created. Now, monetization, maybe charging, getting more people on Twitter Blue might be the way to go. But anything that's going to restrict the reach of Twitter, I don't think is a good idea. And mark my words, you can write it down. If Elon Musk does become the CEO of Twitter, it'll get run into the ground within 18 months. You could take that one and write it in stone.
You're saying he would bore it into the ground?
He's not a civil engineer either. He's not very good at that. If he thinks that tunnels are waterproof. But yeah, he's anybody that I could be considered smart too if my family inherited a apartheid era emerald mine. But yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got to say on that.
I love you, John, because I let you go first and talk about all that stuff, right? Heather, you got the blue check. How do you feel about this? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter has always had a monetization issue. I mean, Jack Dorsey is like he's a socialist. He's never been afraid to say that. And
socialist.
He's come out. I mean, he's 100% a socialist. I mean, like the point of Twitter has been to be the world's town square. It always has been. Like he's wanted to be able to have to surface things immediately around the world. And I think that's one of the reasons why I use Twitter more than any other tool, because I can easily see what's happening around the world quickly. I mean, with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, their algorithms don't allow you to search to see what's really happening.
You can see what people are having for breakfast on those platforms.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like with Twitter, you can actually see news that's happening really, and you can quickly tell. I mean, even there's a road in Texas called Heather Wild Avenue in Pflugerville, Texas. It's right outside of Austin, and every morning I get alerts that there's a traffic jam on Heather Wild Road, because but I mean, it's Twitter is really the megaphone of the masses everywhere, and I mean, it's really sad when countries. One of the first things that countries turn off whenever there's an uprising is Twitter, because they know that. So I think that Elon Musk coming in and saying that he wants to charge companies for the use of Twitter, I'm not afraid of that, because he understands that if it's a business and it wants to make money, which he's not necessarily saying that it does need to make money, because if he wants to be a William Randolph Hearst, he could use this just as a megaphone, and that's good enough. But if he does want to make money on it, then charging the people that want to craft a message that is anti for the people, that's the way to do it. Not allow the people to have their own voice for free, and have the people that want to manipulate, that want to push their own agenda and have the money to do it, make them pay for it.
The trouble is, though, where's the line between those two camps?
Well, I mean, if you are an agency, if you are a company, then it will show that you are advertising. and like you'll have that like whatever, like that big blinking red check mark that says everything you say is a sponsored post.
So the article was interesting, I thought, where it talks about how do they determine. So, Coca-Cola versus a local brewery. How do you like? Is it? It's not fair for them to both have to pay the same. They're going to have different resources, obviously. But then if you're going to start differentiating, then you run into all kind of issues with validation and but before you know it, it's going to cost more to set this up and enforce it than you'd be making by charging it potentially.
They
So
could just
anyway.
throttle. They could just throttle the users. In other words, you grow your audience, and that if you have 0 to whatever number of users, there's no cost. But even on the receiving end, they can throttle how many people could see your stuff. Like it's free for the first 500,000 people to read your tweet. After that, ta-da! I mean, they could automatically do it. And sorry, Heather, I didn't mean to interrupt you on that. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I mean, but I mean, the point is, there's so many ways that they can tell, and I mean, there's ways to get around it. Like for example, in Las Vegas, there's the boutique arm of the Mars factory. Like so, M&M Mars like chocolate factory. They have a small batch boutique chocolate factory here. They so it's called the FLM Chocolate Factory, and they make
yum yum.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like all of their chocolate is I mean, they're made in the original Cadbury way that Fred Mars stole from Cadbury when he came to America. Mine. Oh yeah, you're FLM. Yes. So and I mean,
Heather knows her chocolate, you guys.
So it's amazing, but like FLM would be a way to get around the fact that Mars is a multinational conglomerate. So like, how do you know? There's so many of these boutiques.
Yeah, that's what I it seems to me like all of these things, it's like there has to be better ways to monetize than by doing, like, it just seems like it's a losing thing. What do you reckon, JD?
Well, there's so many aspects to this. I disagree a little bit with John. I think Elon, I agree with a lot of what John says about Elon, but he's no idiot. I think he's going to get a managing CEO to run it, and I think what it's been, Jason Kanakaitis has been kind of named. I'm a friend of Elon, and he might make me CEO of Twitter. Like Jason does. He's a total name dropper, supremo. But I think Elon's not an idiot. I think he wants to make money from this. And some people say it's not possible, but I think it is. I've heard people say that Twitter is grossly overstaffed, and I think they're going to cut the staff hard. And there's numerous ways of making money from this platform. For God's sake, I agree with John. It will never be as big in some ways as Facebook and some other social media platforms. But I'll be interested to see what But Vito, there must be endless ways of monetizing that platform, mustn't there?
Definitely. And what I like about this approach is that it's kind of like building in public, which is very native to Twitter. It's just throwing out ideas and getting like feedback from the users, and something will come out of it eventually. So I like this approach is just so big that everything that he says becomes a discussion on a random podcast, right? But it's but it's still.
Are you saying this is a random podcast?
I'm not this one. Another random podcast.
Oh, right.
Gotcha. So this is kind of like one of the things that
a lot of thought goes into the selection of these stories, Vito. I know you're amazed to hear that.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like it. I think that this is a good approach. I think there's loads of ways of making money off of Twitter, and that is not gonna hinder the experience. Actually, it's gonna improve the experience. I agree with Spence that volume based on amount of followers or even users for like team management internally and things like that can be a great way of monetizing this thing. And of course, some people are gonna try and go around it, but the big companies are just gonna pay the $50 or $500 or $5,000 a month that they will ask for in order to get access to those people. They're already paying these amounts in ads, inside those platforms. So yeah, I think I don't see anything wrong about this. If it's a company and it's for profit, it's actually a very similar model that happens in the WordPress space with a lot of plugins. You can use it for personal use, but if it's going to be commercially used, then you gotta pay.
Speaking of the gate to the WordPress world, let's move on to our next article.
Yeah, I think we need to go for a break, actually, Steph, because we've waffled on a bit. So
it's fine. All right, let's go to a break. I was gonna do 3 and then the break, but okay.
It's tough to run the show.
Yeah, well, especially with the backseat driver over here. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's hear from our sponsor.
I'm trying to be helpful, Stephanie. That's all I'm trying to be.
Listen, I'm watching the clock. You're just over there drinking your scotch. Let me
those,
take care of
those cars they use when you're doing driver's training?
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's got
like
the second brake
and the steering wheel, and they keep grabbing it and stuff.
For sure.
That's what this show is like with John over there. He keeps pressing the brake pedal on you.
Totally. All right. Have we played the ad yet? Let's hear our ad. And we're back. Don't forget, 10 a.m. on Fridays, you're going to hear the amazing Spencer Foreman and Jonathan
Pacific
Denwood.
time,
Pacific time. On what are we calling it this week, fellas? Funnelrific?
No, it's got a Jonathan actually agreed on the show. Sales Funnels Live.
It's sales.
Sales Funnels Live. It just rolls off the tongue. It
does.
Sexy. I like it, you guys. Okay, Sales Funnels Live, 10 a.m. Pacific. These two guys, I don't know. They might. Are you guys? Do you fight on that show?
Do we fight? That's an understatement.
It's an understatement.
Last week I drove him to drink.
You ever seen the movie Anger Management? It's like the sequel.
I live it every Friday on this show.
It's just worth.
I'm the Jack Nicholson character.
It's just worth. Tribe, you need to go to the Friday
you guys should
show.
Check it out. It's on the WP-Tonic YouTube page. Bring your funnels, and they will fight over them. All right. Is it okay with you, John, if we go to our third story?
Oh, and I like to start as well, Stephanie.
Okay, great.
Right, okay?
MasterWP.com. The WordPress gatekeepers will see you now. This article is basically talking about WordPress not being an inviting space. That has never been my experience. What do you, Spence? You seem.
I think.
Are you just shaking your head about Jonathan, or is it about this article?
No, about this particular article, because I read some other stuff by Nyesha. I think I'm saying it right. And she's got some really good thoughts. But this one, I think she missed one point because. And maybe I'm misunderstanding her, so forgive me. I'm a little cloudy. But her point, if you scroll down, was I've never in my life seen so many people opposed to others being paid. And I don't think she really understands what's going on here, if that's her conclusion, because the whole debate was the pulling apart of the community is you have forces like we alleged, Syed and Awesome Motive, bending the rules and bending their pals around what they do, whereas the rest of hey, we're all abiding by the same basic rules and premises and spirit of WordPress. It's not about no one getting paid. It's about like why billionaires get special tax treatment because they know the people in the IRS versus the waiter or waitress having to pay 30% on their tips. It's like fundamentally, if we're all given the perception that certain people, certain companies get to do different things in WordPress against the real spirit and letter and the purpose of the open source GPL, then why don't we all just do it? And then it's Hail Mary for everybody. Just like throw anything against the wall. And that gets into every area we talked about. For example, Why don't we all just get clever with how we put our own advertisements into the sidebar of all the widgets and the components? Why don't we all just take up the entire top of the admin space forever with things that don't have unique classes that people can shut off? Why don't we all just go ahead and try to upsell everybody at every single moment? Why don't we all just change the rules on existing thousands or hundreds of thousands of users and say, yesterday we said this, today we said go screw yourself, pay us? Why don't we all just put up firewalls that phone home when they're using open source? It's like ... And every single time in the past, Matt used to come in, hey kids, that's not going to go. GPL first, open source this, community first. And now it's like, hello, is anybody going to say anything about what's happening here? And the only time you see it pass is when it's, oh,
well, he's too busy talking to the penguins, isn't he?
Somebody's got the clout to get around it. And listen, I'm not Mr. Robin Hood here, but I am untouchable because nobody wants to touch me anyway in the business sense, because they know I'm speaking the truth from day one. I clarified that one. But the point is, other people are worried. There's well-known guests of the show who've had to leave because they've been given top-down warnings that it would be bad for their careers. We know who we're talking about, and they're really, really well-spoken people, friends of ours. I think this is a conversation
I actually don't know who you're talking about. Tell me later.
Like, honestly, and Naisha is a great article. Everything else is factually true, but I think that one point, it's not about getting paid. It's about, it applies to everybody, universal.
Yeah, I like to respond. I really thought the article was top notch, Stephanie. I was really, and I'm going to ask her to come on the show because I really loved the article. I agree with a lot of what Spence is. I'm not sure she was really. I thought the point she was making, Spencer, is if you want a really exclusive community, you got to take into account that some people don't have the financial resources to go to WordCamps to really be part of the community and to contribute their time because they haven't got the financial resources to be able to do that for free. I thought that was the point she was trying to make, Spencer. I might be wrong, but I thought the other points that she made in the article were really top notch, Stephanie.
Honestly, I felt like this article was all over the place. Truthfully, she's talking about, first of all, I don't get the cartoon. Like somebody's sticking the stick into their own bicycle. Like that didn't make any sense to me. Or maybe that's supposed to represent WordPress. I don't know. But like it doesn't really even matter. But she talks about education. Okay, so how could I possibly learn about becoming a WordPress developer? Like you go on YouTube and you can't throw a rock without hitting a WordPress tutorial or something like that. I mean, I think there's education all over the place. I'm not sure. I think she wants it to be like centralized or something something like that, which isn't a horrible idea, but I don't think that it's excluding folks or it's too hard. More WordPress mentors, sure. Like basically, I think all the things she says in this article are good ideas. Like, yeah, let's make education more accessible to people. Let's provide mentors. If you're asking people to do stuff, pay them for it. Great. Hire more people that don't look like you. Great. All of those things. But like, I don't feel like gatekeeping is like the issue with any of those things. I don't know. What do you think, Vito?
First of all, the WordPress space is very much underpriced, or like developers and people that work in this industry, and even the products that are in this industry, they are very much underpriced. Like to the point that it's about 10% of other areas in the tech industry, which is shocking, really, because it is half of the internet, and maybe that's why it's half of the internet. So with that, I definitely agree to the main concept that we should all, as a community, look into what we're doing to ourselves by underpricing or by undercharging, and that really is limiting a lot of new blood coming into the space, or at least quality blood coming into the space when it comes to the salaries that a React developer can get from working at a SaaS company compared to working at a WordPress plugin company, right? Or at a web agency that builds WordPress sites. So that is my biggest kind of takeaway from this article. It's all about, and again, it goes back to what Spencer was saying about like from top down or from down up. I think it's like it's become too big of a beast to tame. And so you can't really expect everything to be neatly organized. It's like a country, you're gonna have some murderers in there, and so that's just part of the game. Most people are cool and they just want to do their work and continue on with their life, but some people are crazy, they're nuts. And so that's just part of the game, and the bigger you're gonna be, the more of this you're gonna experience.
Matt Medeiros talked about something during the pandemic about, remember when WordPress.com came out and said like $5,000 is the general price of a website. And then they started offering it. And he was really clear in his blog. I was listening to it on a replay. Like, how bad is that? Because they're not talking about these other problems and fixing it, but at the same time, they're offering top-down, like turnkey things, which maybe goes to the idea of them wanting to become more like a Wix or Weebly. But at the end of the day, the reason that we're in a conundrum is you can't start with the premise that we're all for one for all in a system, but then whittle away little by little until the people who've been playing by the rules realize, like let's abandon it and every person for themselves. Because that, by the way, is how the normal market works. If you go out into Shopify or Wix or Weebly, they're not promising like contribute to Wix and Weebly and Shopify. They're like, just use our stuff and go make money, market yourself. Here it's like, hey, peace and love, dedicate to the cause, donate your time. It's like, go F yourself then, because like I'm gonna spend my time marketing my business instead.
Greg Hyatt is having a whole conversation with himself over on YouTube.
Yeah, great comments.
So many comments. Thanks, Greg. He says people need to be fully educated on free GPL with an exclamation point. Yeah. So whose job is that? I mean, that's kind of what this article is saying, right? She's saying like that should be WordPress's job.
Okay. Can I?
Yeah,
please.
Does Heather have anything to say? I can tell you're
itching.
Oh, I'm
wrap
itching.
it up for us, John.
All right. I agree with what Spencer's saying. That is part of the problem. Cronyism, and things where certain people get to play by certain rules and then everybody else has different rules. I agree with what Vito says. That's part of the problem. We are very underpaid for the value that we bring. We love to brag about being 48% of the web, but we definitely do not get 48% of the money from the web. And this is a situation that needs to be rectified. Now, what Naisha was talking about, there was a thing in WordPress Make where somebody said that they were talking about something entirely different. And then they said there's forces pulling apart the community, suggesting that WordCamp speakers and organizers be paid. It's all Master WP's fault. Okay. Support is a big part of the community. I go over to the post status and I was reading an article where somebody had their name redacted and they were replying to some article, and they were saying, I applied for a support job at this major WordPress company, and the pay that they were offering was less than a fast food place in my hometown. So this is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. But I think what Naisha, another thing that she is talking about is the brain drain that is happening and will continue to happen within WordPress if we don't catch up to where the rest of the web communities are or where they're going, and in our culture as a community. And the cartoon, for the people who are listening to the podcast at home, it's the bike meme with the 3 panels, guys riding along. An underpaid community where the people at the top all look the same and prevent others from joining or getting paid. Guy sticks the bar in his spoke. Continued gatekeeping. And then he's falling down, clutching his knee. Why did Master P do this to us? We have to change the culture here to really attract all the talent that is going to be necessary to keep WordPress competitive with all the other web platforms that are out there and all the other technologies out there, or they're going to go work on these other things instead of working at WordPress, where we don't pay speakers, we don't pay contributors, regular just odds and ends. WordPress companies are expected to chip in and contribute on their own dime to make it better. Meanwhile, while Automatic is creating products that compete directly against agencies and things like that. So the thing that Naisha closes out with is pay people fairly. And if you don't expect, everything for free. We all bring value to the table in this community. We're all creating things, we're all coding or providing support or educating people. So pay people what they're worth. And that's a big thing. And create cultures where not everybody looks the same. Because that's a big thing that I think that Master WP has done that's shaken things up. And I think it's a breath of fresh air that this community really needed. Yeah, really, really needed. And I think it's, when you look at some of the other things in contrast, it really becomes apparent. So that's my 2 cents.
I just want to comment for a second on that 5K projects that WordPress.com were offering. I think it's great. I think it's actually, and I saw Jonathan's smile disappear as soon as I said it.
I don't honestly. I think I've got a mixture of feelings about it.
I think it's great, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, this puts a benchmark over what the value of the product that other people in our industry are creating. Because the websites that are going to be generated by the design team at WordPress.com, they're not better, they're not special. They're the same products that we're all giving away for sometimes $500. And so that, I think, instead of looking at them as a competition, I think that could be looked at as a benchmark. This is what we should be charging. And look at these guys; they're also charging this. But with me, you're gonna get personal pro. You're gonna get like someone that is actually on it. Instead of just being a number in a production line. The other thing is that there are so many websites that are being delivered every single day. Just to kind of like to give people a frame of just a reference to this, there's about 470,000 websites released every single day. 470,000. Out of them, about 160,000 are delivered by agencies every day. And so people are complaining about these type of services while they do 3 projects a month and sometimes 5 projects a year. And so there's more than 150,000 that are done every single day. So there's plenty to go around. And I think that we should all just like get some instead of looking to someone else,
There is enough pie to go around. Any final thoughts on that, guys? Or are we ready to move on and have a little, should we have a coffee break? Let's move over to Starbucks on TechCrunch.com. We're going to talk about Starbucks selling NFTs. They're going to have NFTs for sale that are going to be like a custom collection. And the NFTs will offer a unique experience and benefits. We got Starbucks haters or lovers here. I never know. Probably haters if I know you guys.
Yeah. Can I start?
Sure. Go for it.
It's just a delicious story. It's it's so delicious on multiple levels.
I love this.
On multiple levels.
In the morning.
That talk about jumping in on the bandwagon. And when you read the article, and the other thing, Stephanie, it's environmentally friendly. It's environmentally friendly. Their platform as well. Talk about cliche. What Harold Schwartz won't talk about is his anti-trade union stance, and he literally cried publicly because some of these fucking workers had the audacity to want to organise and not be paid shitty money by his crappy company, that they got the audacity to ask for a living wage rather than be exploited by this. Oh well, I already swore, but and then he's got the audacity to have this bloody piece of crap written on TechCrunch. Yeah, he needs a wake up call. I think I'm ranting now, Stephanie.
So you're a fan.
I talk about how the other half live in a total bubble, in a total world of tech. I don't know what it is, but he needs a wake up call. That's what I reckon.
Heather, are you gonna pick up some NFTs from the Bucks?
Well, okay. So when I read this story, I was thinking, I was recently at a gym. Like, I didn't even realize I was walking into a gym in Las Vegas.
That's the only way I ever end up in a gym.
Yeah, no. Well, I went to get like a massage, and like this guy, like he's in this gym, and I looked around, and I'm like, what is this place? It's apparently a membership only. Like, you have to buy an NFT to be a member at this gym, and like the NFT, it costs something like $10,000 to buy, and then you're a lifetime member of this gym. And the gym is freaking amazing. I mean, like, this place is like gorgeous, and it has all these like awesome things, but like, you're basically seed investing in this thing. So like, when I read this article, I was thinking of that like NFT founded gym that like, so maybe Starbucks is trying to. Oh, and then I read another article the other day about how Starbucks has $3 billion sitting on gift cards that are unused. So like, they basically have $3 billion in interest-free loans from Starbucks gift cards. So perhaps their NFTs are just another way of getting interest-free loans for people. But like, what is their membership going to get them? Like, what will you get for this NFT? And I can't
unique experiences.
Well, no, I mean, it could be, I know they're going to have like a mug, like they're going to have like mug rentals soon, like, cause they're going to go away from paper cups. They're going to go, they already have free refills. No, I mean, Jonathan's laughing, but I mean, like, I'm
yeah, but isn't Heather, in all respect, isn't this total corporate tokenism?
No, I mean, honestly, like, I'm trying to like think from like a corporate perspective of like, what can you do? I mean, like, for NFTs are like, right now they're a PR scam, but like, what can you get people to pay for that would be a permanent thing that they own, that they could theoretically transfer to somebody else at some point in time? Because you can just gift an NFT to someone else. You don't have to sell it. But if you, like, what could you show Starbucks? Like, I own this NFT, that you walk in and say, like, I have this. This is my new Starbucks
now what do I
card.
get?
Yeah, what do I get for it?
Like, thinking about the gym and all that too, is it like, are these going to be the new like keychain tags, right? Like, you had your one for your grocery store, for your gym, for your you know whatever. It's like, is that what NFTs are now? You just open them on your wallet on your phone.
I mean, like,
show the picture of the monkey, and then you get into your gym or whatever.
They could airdrop them for free to start, and then they could charge a nominal fee for them. I mean, they don't have to charge for the NFTs. But that's what people, they don't know. I mean, that's what people miss about this. They can be free. Starbucks can give them for free, like they do for the Starbucks cards, and then you could charge money for them later.
What do you think, Spence?
Well, first of all, from the standpoint of what Starbucks means to me on a personal level, and I think many people, it's a destination to hang out, right? And after the pandemic, especially, that's really true. Like, at first, it was kind of weird, you go in, it's like, is anybody wearing masks, and what are they doing? But then you realize, and that's what Howard Schultz always said, it's a gathering place. The stuff there is absurd to begin with. You look at the tchotchkes, and I go, oh, I could use a travel mug, and you're like, it's $28.
Oh, I could use a $47 travel mug. Yeah,
so
for sure.
Remember,
don't forget, it's also an addictive substance that they're selling.
Right.
Like, that's another little factor too.
Remember a year ago maybe it was 8 months ago. We were talking about the lady selling her farts in a jar and all that sort of thing as NFTs.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that this week. I feel like you mentioned
Yeah,
that
because it ties together. Because like NFTs, this is very Seth Godin. NFTs and Starbucks are examples of business things that don't really represent what they appear to be on their face. In other words, they are ways for people to get perceived value for something down the road that is not really obvious to somebody who's not in on the joke. I enjoy Starbucks paying $3.59, I swear to God, for a tall, regular Pikes Peak coffee because I'm paying to hang out in Starbucks. I haven't done it, but if I bought an NFT, I'm not paying for the fart in the jar. I'm basically saying I'm going to risk $1,000 because I think that will be worth $2,000 later. Same thing with Bitcoin and all that sort of thing. So what I'm saying is I take a little bit of Heather on this one and go, you know what? Like they're already selling coffee mugs for $28 that I know are at Target for $1. And I'm already flushing $4 on a 50-cent cup of coffee. What the hell? Why? I already used the Starbucks app that until I turned it off would auto-generate $25 PayPal charges on me just from using it. Why not invest in like a Starbucks NFT? Because I think that's really what's going on here.
Gas
Vito,
fees
what do you think?
are a scam.
What, John?
It's not a scam because at the same time, I was a real estate investor for a long time. And real estate is number one historical way of saying like, it's bricks and wood and what it's like not worth what you're buying. It's because where it is and how it makes you feel and what the neighbors are like. And real estate perception goes up and down about the value. You're buying a bet on other people's perception.
Well, no, I mean, if you're on Ether, like the gas fees are crazy. So just do everything on an alt chain.
Yeah, there's
what I was going to say.
There's the actual technology side of it is really interesting, but there's that side of it which Heather's kind of concentrated on. But it was the cultural references in this piece. You know, it's environmentally friendly. It had every corporate cliche in this bloody PR piece, and it's from a founder that literally cried in front of a company meeting. He literally had a mental breakdown at the possibility that some of his bloody staff had the audacity to want to unionize themselves and ask for a decent wage from this billionaire. He's such a bloody hypocrite to his core. He is the worst of the worst, and he wraps himself up with liberalism and environmentally friendly, but at the core, he's a quasi-fascist. It's amazing. It's just mind-blowing to me. That's my rant, Stephanie.
I don't know the guy.
Number two on the same story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know the guy, but a company can do two things. It can do not that good in some areas, and then they can do other stuff. It's like it's a huge organization. So I just don't agree, Jonathan, that everything that happened at some point reflects on everything that happens always. They need to sort whatever happened over there, but this is a completely different thing. What does that has to do with it? With the environmental concept, there is a huge concern around NFT and the environment because it takes so much resources to process these things that it really is kind of the holy grail right now to try and figure out NFTs that are environmentally friendly. So if a corporation the size of Starbucks wants to pick that glove up and sort this out, I think it's a good idea.
I think Craig's doing fantastic on the comments, isn't he, Stephanie?
Craig is the best. What would we do
Craig come from? You have to come back.
Greg Hyatt.
I'm impressed.
Greg Hyatt is waiting for me to drop an F-bomb. I'm medicated today. I took some COVID anti-F-bomb medication. I'm not kidding.
I saw somebody do a great prank today. the name on the cup, the Starbucks cup, Coward Schultz. Coward Schultz.
He is the worst of the worst.
You know what,
I mean,
just want-
okay,
I just
don't
wanna
go
ask
into
you-
rant 3.
I want to ask you guys. Stephanie maybe feels differently, Jonathan and John, but like I think Vito and Heather would probably agree with me. Like, can we just agree that like when you approach the world as a stoic or as a realist, you see that like people who become CEOs of multinational corporations do not see the world like somebody who's, you know, living a normal life in a small town. It's just
Absolutely.
the nature. You can't get to that
100%.
position without seeing the world differently. And I love reading biographies. I read the Isidore Sharp one.
Yeah,
recently.
see the world differently.
Jonathan,
But there's a
First of all, back up from that
It's a
microphone.
transformative process that if we just accept it, you see a leopard with spots, you don't think it's, you know, a kitty cat that you go up to pet. You just see it differently because these people have to become that thing that is expected of them to get to that spot.
I've had exactly this conversation, like with my my husband against my family or his family for the past like couple weeks, where they've said that we're out of touch with the average American because we're techno elites, and I'm like, yeah, well, you don't get to be where we are without being able to see all of the drowning people. Like, but you're a drowning person, so you don't see everyone. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you don't get where you are. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a mindset thing. It's all, but it evolves in different directions for every person. And
it's all I'm sorry.
but it's not a bad thing. It's just a different thing, or it's just a different thing. You know, like
I'll
people
tell you what
can
else.
have different perspectives on this stuff.
It's gonna work. People are gonna buy them.
Yeah,
For
it's gonna make
whatever
loads
reason.
of money.
I want to
Loads
make it.
of
I
money.
just want to finish before we go on to a
Finish
recommendation.
what? I was gonna finish
Yeah,
something.
no, but I just want to make
Jonathan?
one
Okay,
final
fine.
point. I'm not
This guy.
against him being a billionaire. I'm not against him making a ton of money. I'm not against Starbucks. I'm not against capitalism. I've been a capitalist all my life. I like money.
You're
I like
against coffee.
No, I'm against him being such a shithead and being such a creep and
All right. I
crying in
believe
front.
that this
you
point
know,
has been
that's
made
what
very thoroughly, Jonathan.
Right? That's what
Yeah, and it's
and
gonna
this-
work because Starbucks is a weird status symbol. Yeah, it's a little bit expensive as coffee, but it's not like, you know, Gucci or Louis Vuitton, whatever. You know, it's like it's not at that price point, but it is still some kind of weird status symbol that people get their
He
Starbucks
is
every
a
day and they do all this stuff.
walking-
And they are in the club and they're gonna go buy these NFTs and it's gonna work. And you know, hey, at least people like Starbucks. Are you really going to just keep talking over me? There's people like Starbucks that are going to bring more tech into the public.
I'm testing.
arena,
I'm
get it
testing you. I'm
away-
testing you, Stephanie.
I know. I won't be shot down. They're going to bring this into the awareness of the drowning people, as Heather calls them. They're going to bring this technology to something where people hear about NFTs, it's out on the news, it's on other things, but they don't understand it. And now it's going to be connected to their coffee and they're going to understand it. So whether or not it's a good idea, whatever, it's gonna make awareness come into more tech, which is far where I sit. I think that's a cool thing, and I like it because then who knows? Once they get work the kinks out and get over the big hurdle of understanding it, then what are we going to do with our businesses? Then we can start using some of this blockchain technology, perhaps in our businesses. That's mine. Okay, I'll quit.
When you're driving on the highway in a strange state, you can pull at a McDonald's, you can pull in Burger King or Kentucky Fried Chicken. When you see a Starbucks, you know you can get the same feeling like when you're in a big city in your hometown for working or otherwise. And that's the price you're paying for, or that's the price for what you're buying. You're saying it's $5 to get the experience of being in that familiar spot.
So what is? I'm not trying to be, but what is your point, Spencer? Because
when I need to pull over and get a cup of coffee
It's
when
not
I'm
about the
driving
coffee,
somewhere.
is what he's saying.
Well, I'm saying because if you want to eat, it's a different story. But like if you just want a place to work, make some phone calls, and you're on the road. I'm in Wisconsin, like going somewhere. I know there's a couple spots that have Starbucks.
Yeah, so
I will intentionally.
does that mean that you have
Jonathan, stop
That
cutting
has to
people
do with your
off.
whole Howard
Right.
Schultz conversation because if you read his biography and why he made it the way he is, he's got a lot of nonsense about Italian coffee and so on and so forth. But what he really wanted was the European experience of hanging out at cafe, and they talk about it as destinations. And I feel they've succeeded at that goal, because even though I'm penny wise and dollar foolish, I'll throw $5 for a 50-cent cup of coffee by stopping at the Starbucks instead of the McDonald's, which has very good coffee. Even though McDonald's has got nice new interiors, the experience in a Starbucks makes me feel like I'm working from home or working. It just, that's what you're buying. And you're not, his attitude is to do what he can for the shareholders, unfortunately, but that's why he acts the way he does. And NFTs are part of that. It's like, we can sell something that maybe a McDonald's couldn't. Like a McDonald's NFT be kind of funny, like, what are you talking about? But a Starbucks NFT, it's like, oh, it's $8 for, a large coffee. Why not?
And it gets me 10% off all of my coffees for life.
Yeah.
And free
It's
soy.
like a country club.
And free soy.
Or something. Yeah.
All right, guys, have we beat this story to death? We've completely run out of time for our last story because we've had a lot to say. John, we were at a 3 rant level on that one just from Jonathan alone. So yeah, we have no more time. So I can't be blamed for that one. John Locke's looking very proud of himself right now too. He contributed to this discussion a lot today. So guys, why don't we move into our panel recommendations? Who wants to go first? Heather, you've got one in the chat already. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes. So I've been doing a lot of work in VR lately. So for somebody that actually wants to try and do work in VR, like actual real deep work, there's an app called Immersed. It works on the Vive and the Oculus, all levels. And it gives you virtual screens. It like gives you a real keyboard. And it allows you to collaborate with up to 5 people, like bring them into a workroom with you. So like it allows you to really work in
Hey,
VR.
Heather, do you think I'm in a virtual world?
I think we're all in the Matrix. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I've seen this. Where have I seen this?
Yeah, and I've actually
talked about it
shown
on
up,
here
like, you
before?
don't even have to leave, like, when you have to go into a Zoom room. Like, I've actually shown up as my cartoon avatar in Zoom, and, like, you can just continue. Yeah, John's like, whoa.
Can we do that on this show?
I could do it next time I'm on if you want.
Yeah, I want one too. Does that mean you don't have to do your hair and makeup? You just
Yeah,
be a
like, you always
cartoon?
look
That sounds
perfect.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Vito, you've got a recommendation here in the chat as well. Tell us about it.
Right. So there's an event coming up, WP-19 .day, and it's basically a celebration for 90. It's WordPress 19th birthday. It's organized by David Bissett. He's organizing a bunch of cool stuff in the US. And this is gonna be a virtual and physical event, from what I understand here, and it looks pretty cool. So go check it out. You can join.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Spencer, do you have a rec?
Oh,
You're muted.
Sorry. I'm recommending WP Post Modal, which is a free modal window. For those who don't know what that is, that's the thing that overlays your screen with a dark background, and usually for forms. The reason I'm recommending it is it's a nice band-aid for free that allows you to pretty much like trigger it with a variety of different ways. There's lots of these inside of custom page builders, but I use this in a situation where there was one that was missing. So it's a nice band-aid for a particular client problem. And again, I like the fact that this is, I'm not trying to harp on not selling it, but like sometimes you don't want to buy something. You just need a Band-Aid. Hey, can I borrow a Band-Aid? Not like, hey, can I buy a box of Band-Aids? And so this is what I think WordPress does well. These kinds of things.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I've got a great service called Podcast Hawk. It was recommended to me by Pat Flynn personally. And if you're looking to get gigs on podcasts, this is a great inexpensive platform to find podcasts that are suitable for you to go on and try it out. It's great. I've been using it, and Pat was right. I think Pat's behind it. I'm not sure. And try it out.
John Locke, what do you got for us?
I've got this book, Dying of Whiteness. And this is by Jonathan M. Metzl. He is a white guy. But it's examining the Midwest and the South, why people... I'm dead serious. This will illuminate a lot of stuff for you. But the guy...
I'm laughing because it probably is eye-opener.
But anyway, this guy grew up, I think he said in Tennessee and Missouri. So he's from that area. He is a white guy. But it'll kind of explain some of the things that have been building up for decades and decades that you're kind of seeing the coalescence of right now. It will explain a lot. But I just from a sociological standpoint, I think you'll find this book very fascinating. So...
Cool. Thanks, John.
Oh, Craig said a lovely thing about me. You're one of the rarest people that's ever said anything nice to me, Stephanie.
He called you beloved.
Yeah, I have.
Wasn't Beloved a movie about like a possessed girl?
Yeah. Well, that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And oh my gosh, excuse you, lockdown SEO, trying to kiss his butt. I don't have a tool this week. I just wanted to remind everybody that WordCamp Europe is happening 4 weeks from yesterday. It starts. I'm going to be there. I don't know if you guys are going to be there as well, but if you haven't made your arrangements, do it. I'm doing a little meetup on Thursday morning. That's developer day. So I'm not really a developer. So for my non-developer friends, if you want to come hang out and have some breakfast with us.
Am I invited,
Yeah, exactly.
Stephanie?
We'll talk about it. Let's talk.
And you can catch me in London next week at NDC London and Devox UK.
All right.
Nice. I don't know what any of those letters mean, but it sounds exciting.
Heaven lives in a totally different world.
What did they call you? You're in a
techno elite.
You're a techno elite.
You're a techno. You are.
You know what I think, Heather? They're just jealous.
I
think Spencer and Vito and John are also in that. They're laughing.
I want to be techno elite, but I'm not. I just pretend. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to go to the WP-Tonic website, wp-tonic.com. Check out the recommendations. Sign up for the newsletter. You know, just see what else Jonathan Denwood has to share, what he's offering, his opinions on everything, as always. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you next week.